Part 13. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 121. Chapter 121. Fujashi's attributes can no longer be hidden. Xia Ying took a breath, surprised that the cold-looking Yu Lingfeng could still joke. Then where did he go? Xia Ying asked again. Since Yu Lingfeng said he was not dead, wouldn't it conflict with the information Rong Ci investigated? He is tired and has quit the entertainment industry. Yu Lingfeng said softly. Is that what he said? Xia Ying blinked her eyes, very surprised. Yu Lingfeng nodded. So, Officer Song respected his wishes and did not continue the investigation. It has become an unsolved case in your mouth, but in fact he is living a good life now. Very good. Xia Ying suddenly became happy. Actually, I also know that the entertainment industry is in trouble, and I will definitely feel tired after staying there for a long time. Although I will never hear him sing again, as long as Mr. R is happy, I will be happy for him. Xia Ying in her previous life was working alone in the entertainment industry, and she also experienced all the warmth of the world and the sophistication of people. Therefore, in this life, Xia Ying will never be a contracted artist again and quarrel with those people for resources. Yu Lingfeng nodded slightly. Looking at Xia Ying's happy look, his expression became much happier. Yu Lingfeng, have you seen him? Yu Lingfeng frowned, hesitated for a moment, and shook his head. Actually, I really want to see him again. I like music, and a large part of the reason is because of him. Xia Ying kept talking to Yu Lingfeng about her admiration for Mr. R along the way. Yu Lingfeng remained silent and listened to her quietly, sometimes nodding in response. After arriving at the comic shop, there were already many people in the comic shop. But Su Annie still left her exclusive box for Xia Ying. When Su Annie saw Yu Lingfeng beside Xia Ying, she smiled evilly and said, Xia Ying, have you got a boyfriend? Xia Ying's face heated up and she waved her hands quickly. No, Sister Annie, he is not my boyfriend. His name is Yu Lingfeng, and he is my tutor. Yu Lingfeng on the side had a serious look on his face and said nothing. Okay then, Su An smiled, the comic you like to read has been released. Go find it yourself. I'll go over there to greet the guests. Okay. Xia Ying nodded, suddenly realizing a very serious problem. What she likes to read are danbai comics. If Yu Lingfeng sees this, won't she be able to hide her Fujashi attributes? Xia Ying looked around and suddenly felt lucky that there were so many people in the comic shop that Su Annie didn't have time to greet her. She can pretend to be here to read some positive comics. Xia Ying walked to the mystery comics section and lingered in front of the colorful covers, pretending to be searching. Yu Lingfeng stood aside silently, looking at Xia Ying. Xia Ying casually took a few books in her hand, then turned to Yu Lingfeng and smiled, I found them. Let's go to the private room to read comics. Yu Lingfeng nodded. Xia Ying was just about to leave when she was stopped by Chen Annie. Sakura. Su Annie walked towards Xia Ying with a pile of comics in her arms and said angrily, I almost forgot that I rearranged the store layout today. Didn't I find it? Come on, I've already found it for you. Xia Ying was extremely embarrassed, so Yu Lingfeng helped Xia Ying take it over. Yu Lingfeng looked at the pile of comics in his arms with a black line on his face, frowning and reading the names he saw, The World's Best First Love, Innocent Romance, Love Tyrant. Shut up. Xia Ying covered Yu Lingfeng's mouth with her hand, her face turned red from suppressing it. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 122. Chapter 122. The young couple are so loving. Yu Lingfeng's eyes were focused on the colorful covers of beautiful men again, and his face darkened. Don't look at it. Xia Ying stood on tiptoes again and covered Yu Lingfeng's eyes. Xia Ying was very close to Yu Lingfeng, so close that they were almost touching each other, so to outsiders, their behavior was particularly close. Wow, look at that young couple, they are so in love. The handsome man and the beautiful woman are really eye-catching. Huh, why do I think that girl looks a bit like Xia Ying? I see other people's boyfriends reading comics with their girlfriends, but my own family only knows how to play games by themselves. It's really irritating. Xia Ying's face heated up again when she heard the comments from the crowd. She quickly put down her hand, found a mask from her school bag, and put it on her face. I actually forgot to wear a mask. It would be bad to be recognized. Yu Lingfeng said awkwardly, "Do you still want these comics?" "Oops. I'll buy it and take a look," Xia Ying said weakly. "Although it's a bit embarrassing, I still feel that comics are important. Mr. G, please leave for a while." The money for the comics was paid by Yu Lingfeng to Xia Ying. On the way back, Yu Lingfeng also helped her carry a bag of Denmei comics. Xia Ying blushed all the way and didn't know what to talk about. "Is this good looking?" Yu Lingfeng suddenly spoke. Huh, Xia Ying frowned. How should she answer him? Last time, 11 Jew sneaked out just to read this kind of comics. Yu Lingfeng added another sentence. Poof. Suddenly I want to laugh so much. Zihu actually likes to read Denmei comics? A male robot has such a special taste? And Xia Ying remembers that 11 Jew was so distracted that day that she asked her to take him home when the battery ran out. What is this about? Yu Lingfeng asks Xia Ying seriously, not as a joke. Doesn't Yu Lingfeng know about Denmei comics? The cover looks weird, is it so attractive? Yu Lingfeng said as he prepared to take out a book and read it. Xia Ying grabbed Yu Lingfeng's hand in time and stopped him. Don't look. What's wrong? No, not suitable for you. Xia Ying was extremely embarrassed. If a straight man like Yu Lingfeng, who has never had a concept of Denmei, reads a Denmei comic, would he secretly feel that Xia Ying's psychology is twisted and abnormal? So, don't let him see it. You and 11 Jew can see why I am not suitable. Yu Lingfeng said seriously. Because. Xia Ying was at a loss for words. Anyway, just don't look at it. Yu Lingfeng frowned. Although he was confused, he didn't ask any more questions. Yu Lingfeng, you must not peek. Xia Ying warned again. Yu Lingfeng nodded and said nothing. Actually, the more Xia Ying said this, the more curious he became. Is there anything in this world that he doesn't know? He certainly wouldn't allow it. After hearing her story from Xia Ying, Mu Niankai was so angry that she quickly contacted Xia Menjian and asked her to come out. Xia Menjian had already arrived home, but after receiving a call from Mu Niankai, she went out again. Xia Menjian was not prepared at all. She went to an alley and was pushed against the wall by Mu Niankai's girls as soon as she went there. Xia Menjian looked at Mu Niankai in horror. Nian, Sister Niankai, what are you doing? What to do, you'll find out later. Mu Niankai gritted her teeth and said, find her cell phone for me. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 123. Chapter 123, Tear Off the Mask of White Lotus. Xia Menjian, unlock it yourself. Xia Menjian gingerly unlocked it. Sister Niankai, what do you want to do? What did I do to offend you? Shut up. Mu Niankai yelled angrily, and then opened Xia Menjian's Taiba software. Sure enough, that post was made by her. Damn it. Mu Niankai took the phone and held it up for Xia Menjian to look at. Xia Menjian, you are actually messing with me behind my back. That post was made by you, and the relationship between Xia Ying and brother Chenai was also fabricated by you. Are you using me to cause trouble for Xia Ying? You are so shameless. No, Sister Niankai, please listen to my explanation. Xia Menjian panicked. How did Mu Niankai suddenly wake up? I suddenly suspected that the post was from her, and why did I go through her phone? Explain what, there are both witnesses and evidence. Mu Niankai gritted her teeth and said, I hate it when others deceive me and take advantage of me. Xia Menjian, do you think I'm a fool? Sister Nian Qi, I didn't. You must have made a mistake. Someone must be trying to sow discord between us. Shut up, bitch. Mu Niankai slapped Xia Menjian with a loud slap, leaving several red fingerprints on Xia Menjian's face. What are you still doing? Beat this bitch, beat her hard. Mu Niankai said angrily. Sister Niankai, please don't, help me, Wu. Xia Menjian's words were drowned in a group of punches and kicks. Mu Niankai stood aside angrily, watching them beat Xia Menjian. Xia Ying is right, she is just too stupid. She has been led by the little girl Xia Menjian, and she was almost expelled from school. All this is because of this Xia Menjian. Xia Chuanhai and Luo Xian were both shocked when Xia Menjian returned home scarred. Menjian, what's wrong with you? Xia Chuanhai hurriedly stepped forward and supported Xia Menjian. Xia Menjian's face was covered with slap marks, her clothes were torn to pieces, and she looked extremely embarrassed. Xia Menjian kept crying in frustration, and Xia Chuanhai also panicked. Did someone bully you at school? Xia Chuanhai was also anxious. Xia Menjian kept crying without speaking, and there was nothing he could do. Menjian was still at home at first, then she suddenly ran out, and that's what happened when she came back. Luo Xian said. Menjian, tell daddy, who bullied you? Xia Menjian shook her head, I accidentally provoked the gangsters in society and was beaten. Xia Menjian replied with a trembling voice. Mu Niankai threatened her not to tell anyone, otherwise she would never let her go. Xia Menjian naturally knew Mu Niankai's ability, so even if she was wronged, she had to endure it. How did that happen? Xia Chuanhai was heartbroken. Let's go, daddy will take you to call the police. Maybe a camera will capture it? No need, it's in an alley, there's no camera. Xia Menjian said weakly. Chuanhai, please send Menjian to the hospital quickly. Luo Xian said. Xia Chuanhai took Xia Menjian to the hospital. Hey, wait a minute, I haven't asked for leave from the teacher for evening self-study. Xia Ying, who was sitting on the sofa, slowly watching TV and eating potato chips, said this. Xia Menjian looked at Xia Ying's back with cold eyes. This matter had absolutely nothing to do with her. I'll call teacher Li Mu later. Xia Chuanhai said. You have seen enough of Valentine's Day in one go, and there will be no more updates during the day. In addition, this is just the first step in torturing Xia Menjian, and there will be more exciting ones later. 3 lucky babies will be drawn in the comment area of this chapter and each will receive 100 book coins. The content is exciting and the number of likes is high. In addition, babies who have voted for this book in the past 3 days will have a greater chance of winning. The next chapter will be announced list of winners. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 124. Chapter 124, I don't have any bad thoughts about you. Xia Ying sat on the sofa and smiled. Xia Menjian, this is just the first step. The days to come will be more fun. Xia Ying raised her head and glanced at the clock on the wall. She was almost ready to go to school for evening self-study. After sending Xia Ying home, Yu Lingfeng returned to his castle. He was holding a sky blue bag in his hand, which was filled with comics. He wanted to know how interesting something could interest Xia Ying so much. Yu Lingfeng put down the bag, took out a comic from it, sat on the sofa, opened it slowly, and started reading. After a while, 11 Jew came down from upstairs and saw his master sitting on the couch, holding a Denmi comic in his hand. Zihu opened his eyes wide and quickly went downstairs and walked to Yu Lingfeng. Master, master, what are you doing? Zihu was shocked. His master didn't seem like someone who likes to read Denmi comics. What are you doing? 11 Jew saw that Yu Lingfeng's brows were frowning more and more deeply, and the expression on his face was becoming more and more difficult for 11 Jew to understand. Seeing 11 Jew coming, Yu Lingfeng silently raised her eyes and looked at him with a complicated expression. Yu Lingfeng stood up and put down the comics. His face was as dark as the bottom of a pot, and he stared at 11 Jew's head with deep meaning. I think you should find some time to reshape your head. After Yu Lingfeng finished speaking, he left with heavy steps. 11 Jew swallowed his saliva and stood there fearfully, not daring to move. Master, listen to me, I have absolutely nothing wrong with you. Tomorrow is the midterm exam. Xia Ying was lying on the bed, tossing and turning. She had studied so hard some time ago, and had the guidance of the top student Ye Xiaoxun at school. When she returned home, she had Yu Lingfeng as her tutor. Coupled with the foundation she had left over from her previous life, she wanted to know how close she was to the imperial capital now. How far is the university? What kind of results can she get in the exam? Thinking about this, Xia Ying became so nervous that she couldn't sleep. Xia Ying sighed, feeling helpless. Can't sleep, insomnia. Xia Ying likes to think randomly when she can't sleep, and then Yu Lingfeng suddenly pops into her mind for some reason. In her last life, she didn't pay much attention to Yu Lingfeng. At that time, she was completely immersed in sadness and wanted to die. She had no energy to think about who this person who had been by her side was and why he was so kind to her. Yes, why is Yu Lingfeng so kind to her? In the last life and this life, Yu Lingfeng had always been so kind to her. On the other hand, she herself seemed to have never brought any benefit to Yu Lingfeng. Xia Ying thought of what Yu Lingfeng had told her, to call his name if there was danger. Is it really that effective? Xia Ying stared at her left hand. What function does that chip have? Yu Lingfeng is really a monster, he can do anything. Yu Lingfeng. Xia Ying called Yu Lingfeng's name out of nowhere. After a while, there was no movement around her. It seems that it is still not that high-tech. Xia Ying moved her lips and closed her eyes. Yu Lingfeng's indifferent face came to mind again. He rarely smiled, and even when he did smile, it was a very faint smile, so light that you couldn't even notice it. Xia Ying was thinking wildly. After a long time, Xia Ying finally fell asleep. At this time, the curtains in Xia Ying's room moved, and a black shadow was reflected on the wall, approaching Xia Ying's bed. The last wave of dog food for Valentine's Day, ha ha ha, Happy New Year's Eve, little cuties. The last winning list, and understanding, Gongzi Emoning, devils. There will be another chapter updated later. There will also be activities. Thank you to the little cuties Gongzi Mening, Meteor, 1000 paper cranes of Love Kingzi, and Killing God for their rewards. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 125. Chapter 125. The Thornbird sings the opening song. Yu Lingfeng leaned over and placed a kiss on Xia Ying's lips, who had a delicate sleeping face. Then he reached out and stroked Xia Ying's forehead, then turned and left. Ling ring ring. Xia Ying was woken up by the alarm clock the next day. Xia Ying rubbed her sleepy eyes. She went to bed too late yesterday, so she was still very sleepy and tired, and she was unwilling to even turn over in bed. Miss, get up. If you don't get up, you'll be late. It wasn't until the maid came over to urge Xia Ying to get up that Xia Ying quickly got up from the bed. She must get up, otherwise she will be late for the exam. This exam meant a lot to her, and she didn't want to miss the exam time. She dreamed last night that she was singing at the school anniversary party and was recognized as a thorn bird. As a result, the whole scene got out of control. She was chased by crowds and cameras from all directions, and finally fell off a cliff, which woke her up in the middle of the night. Xia Ying felt uneasy when she thought of singing at the school anniversary party. If she opens her voice, others will definitely recognize her. Wait a minute, Xia Ying suddenly thought of something. What if she simply sang as a thorn bird? This way, everyone won't think so much. I don't associate the two of them together anymore. She is so smart. Xia Ying thought so, and quickly called Teacher Su, saying that she could invite the thorn bird himself to sing the opening song for the school anniversary. Teacher Su was so shocked at first that he couldn't believe it. That was the most popular singer thorn bird. Such a mysterious person who is unwilling to reveal her identity. Is Xia Ying sure that she can invite her? Teacher Su, don't worry, on the day of the school anniversary, Thornbird will definitely come. Xia Ying was very confident, and Teacher Su agreed with hesitation. After all, Xia Ying wouldn't have said this to her if she wasn't completely sure. If we can really invite the Thornbirds, then Guangyang Middle School's school anniversary party will definitely make the headlines the next day. Guanjiang's reputation will also grow, which is exactly what the school leaders hope. Xia Ying decided to transform into a thornbird and sing during the school anniversary. As for the stage play, she moved faster and changed clothes quickly to perform the next stage play. As long as she moved quickly and secretly, no one would be able to spot her. After all, before Xia Ying goes to college, it would be better to hide her identity as a thorn bird, so as not to bring unnecessary influence and trouble to her. Her current mission is to study hard and work hard to get into Tokyo University. Also, drive Xia Menjian out of the Xia family as soon as possible. During breakfast, because she was in a hurry, Xia Ying only took a few bites of bread, quickly poured a large glass of milk into her mouth, grabbed her school bag and was ready to go out. You kid, is it true that you don't even have a good breakfast just to take a test? Luo Xian said angrily, while helping Xia Ying adjust the shoulder strap of her school bag, and put a few more sandwiches and a carton of milk in it, fearing that she would be hungry after the exam. Mom, don't worry, I'm not a child, I will take care of myself. Xia Ying smiled. Xia Menjian remained silent. Xia Chuanhai went on a business trip a few days ago and it will take a while before he can come back. Now that Xia Menjian's biggest supporter in the Xia family is gone, Xia Menjian has become more cautious in her words and deeds. 3 lucky babies will be drawn in the comment area of this chapter to get 200 book coins each. The old rules, the content is exciting, the number of likes is high, and the cute little ones who vote for recommendations have a high winning rate. The chapter updated at 9 p.m. announces the list of winners. Happy New Year's Eve, cuties. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 126. Chapter 126, Little Cutie, You Are So Beautiful. Xia Ying was sitting in the examination room, the moment she saw the question. Xia Ying breathed a sigh of relief. Sure enough, her efforts during this period were not in vain. These questions seemed to her to be very simple. Yu Lingfeng is right, as long as she has a firm grasp of all the knowledge points he told her. It's really more than enough for exams. Xia Ying buried her head and began to answer the questions seriously. After a day of exams, Xia Ying was a little tired and just wanted to go home and relax. Xia Ying was packing her things and getting ready to go home, when her phone vibrated and she received a message. Little cutie, I have collected the information you want. I will wait for you at the Twilight restaurant. It was a message from Rong Ci. Xia Ying sighed. In this case, she had no choice but to go to the appointment. Twilight Restaurant is a high-end restaurant with delicious but expensive dishes. Most of the people spending money there are wealthy people. Xia Ying appeared in Twilight Restaurant wearing a school uniform, which looked a little out of place with the high-end facilities inside. Xia Ying looked around, when a waiter walked over to her enthusiastically. "Is this Miss Xia Ying?" Xia Ying nodded. "Please follow me." The waiter smiled sweetly, bowed slightly to Xia Ying, and said, "Thanks." The waiter brought Xia Ying to a luxurious box. Rong Ci was dressed in Japanese warm male clothes, sitting on the sofa, looking at Xia Ying with a sweet smile on his face. Rong Ci wore a pair of glasses today. His skin was fair and his facial features were delicate. He looked particularly sunny and his smile was very beautiful. "Little cutie, I knew you would come," Rong Ci said with a smile. Xia Ying said nothing and sat down opposite him. "She will definitely come here for that information." Xia Ying looked down, saw a blueberry milkshake in front of her, and frowned. At this time, the waiter came in and brought the dishes that Xia Ying usually likes to eat. Xia Ying opened her eyes wide in surprise and looked at Rong Ci. "Did you investigate me?" Rong Ci chuckled, "I just got to know your preferences, little cutie." Xia Ying curled her lips and said nothing. She always felt this was weird. Did she have no privacy in front of Rong Ci? "Let's get back to the point. Where is the information I want?" Xia Ying got straight to the point. "Why are you so anxious, little cutie, you haven't even eaten." Rong Ci was still smiling and greeted Xia Ying to eat. "This store requires reservations 2 months in advance. You can't let down these delicacies." Xia Ying couldn't resist him, so she took a few symbolic bites of the food. It was indeed super delicious. Xia Ying almost forgot the last time she ate here. Sure enough, his food is expensive for a reason. Xia Ying inevitably took a few more bites. Rong Ci on the other side smiled like a little son and kept staring at Xia Ying, who was eating. Xia Ying raised her eyes and met Rong Ci's gaze. "Why do you keep looking at me without eating?" Rong Ci curled her lips and chuckled, "Because you are so beautiful, little cutie." Xia Ying twitched the corner of her mouth. Fortunately, she was a reborn person, and she was already immune to beautiful men when she entered the entertainment industry in her previous life. If it were any other 16 or 17-year-old girl, seeing such a good-looking boy with a warm smile and such a flirtatious attitude, she would definitely fall. After Xia Ying heard this, she continued to eat without blushing or heartbeat. The winning list in the previous chapter: Qingfeng Viang, Mo, Chiu Liang, Jia Xiao Q, 299-133-0854, get the reward. Thanks to the little cuties Cat's Eye Sees the World Fish, 1000 Paper Cranes Who Love Kingsley, Morning Light 11 Vian, and you at for their rewards. Happy New Year, little cuties. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 127. Chapter 127. If you can't find her, let her come out on her own. I'm stuffed. Xia Ying put down her chopsticks, wiped her mouth, and looked at Rong Ci opposite. Can you tell me? Xiao Yanhong is in City B. She is currently an unemployed vagrant, playing mahjong and making faces, and relying on Xia Menjian to send her money for a living. The words become serious. Xia Menjian sent her money. Xia Ying frowned and thought about it carefully. Although Xia Menjian now has 3,000 yuan in pocket money a month, this is not enough for Xiao Yanhong's expenses. In Xia Ying's memory, Xiao Yanhong was the kind of person who spent money like water. 3,000 yuan is not enough for her to lose from playing mahjong. In that case, is there any other way for Xia Menjian to get money? When Xia Menjian comes to your house, You should have prepared some things for her. I guess she has almost sold them. Wrong, I said. Xia Ying frowned, thinking about something. Give me Xiao Yanhong's address. Wrong, I waved his hand. I know what you want to do, but Xiao Yanhong doesn't have a place to live. She just stays in hotels and is chic everywhere. She just came to B City. I don't know how long she will stay. You can't find her at all. Xia Ying frowned. Since I can't find her, I'll let her come out on her own. Wrong, I chuckled lightly, held up his head, and looked at Xia Ying like a fan. My dear, she looks like a gentle and quiet girl, but she is so powerful. You're here, since you've done all the research, you must know everything. Of course. Wrong, I smiled. By the way, do you still want Xia Menjian's information? Xia Ying nodded. Xia Menjian has always been with her mother. Her mother liked gambling and didn't take care of her very much since she was a child. Xia Menjian's childhood was quite miserable. Later, Xiao Yanhong owed loan sharks and was cornered, so she came up with this idea. Method. Send Xia Menjian to the Xia family. Xia Menjian will be prosperous and wealthy, and Xiao Yanhong will also get some help. Heh, Xia Ying sneered. In the previous life, Xiao Yanhong tasted the benefits and actually began to covet the position of the hostess of the Xia family. I don't know what method was used to drive Luo Xian into despair, and Xia Chuanhai was also fascinated by her. In the last life, Xia Ying was busy in the entertainment industry and had no time to take care of her family, so this femme fatale woman took advantage of her. In this life, Xia Ying will never make it so easy for her. There is also Hanzija, who is Xia Menjian's childhood sweetheart. The two are neighbors and grew up together. Hanzija's family is well off, and he has been secretly helping Xia Menjian. Later, when Hanzija was in high school, I transferred to City A, and I was separated from Xia Menjian. But I didn't expect that Xia Menjian later came to City A, and came to Guangyang Middle School, and met Hanzija again. Hanzija has always liked Xia Menjian ever since he was a child. As long as someone bullies Xia Menjian, he will never let it go. Xia Ying sneered, isn't it? In the last life, no matter how devoted she was to how good Hanzija was, Hanzija's heart was always only for Xia Menjian. Hanzija pretends to be outside and likes to flirt with different girls, but deep down, he only likes Xia Menjian. If he knew that his precious little childhood sweetheart Xia Menjian was actually as vicious as a snake and a scorpion inside, he didn't know what Hanzija would be like. Thanks to the little cutie. More rewards. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 128. Chapter 128. He must have been wronged. Thank you, I already know almost everything I want to know. Xia Ying said. Wrong. Ci held up her chin and stared at Xia Ying with a smile. A pair of curved smiling eyes seemed to be filled with billions of stars, dazzling. Then, little cutie, how are you going to repay me? Xia Ying was stunned for a moment, then asked, how do you want me to repay you? Watch a movie with me. Not so good. Xia Ying tilted her head in embarrassment. Then please treat me to a meal. Wrong. Ci curled his lips and leaned on the back of the sofa with some disappointment. Xia Ying nodded, okay, you can find some time after I finish my midterm exam. Good. Wrong. Ci smiled. Then let me first. Xia Ying stood up and was about to leave when she suddenly thought of something and sat down again. Her expression became solemn and she stared at Wrong. Ci. Is there anything else? Can I ask you something more? Xia Ying asked. Okay. Wrong. Ci became interested and prepared to listen to Xia Ying's next words. I heard from Jun Chenai that you found out that Mr. R was murdered. As soon as Xia Ying finished saying this, the smile on Wrong Ci's face froze. Why is my nephew telling you this? Wrong. Ci furrowed his beautiful brows. feeling very puzzled. Don't worry about this for now, just tell me, right? Xia Ying looked at Rong Si with expectant eyes. Rong Si replied with a cold face, it's better not to know these things, little cutie. But I already know, Jun Chennai has already told me. Xia Ying just wanted to know why Rong Si said that Mr. R might have been murdered by Yu Lingfeng, but Yu Lingfeng told her that Mr. R was still alive. What is the difference between this? Rong Si raised his eyebrows, touched his chin and thought for a while, then stared at Xia Ying seriously. Do you know Yu Lingfeng? Xia Ying did not answer, but avoided Rong Si's direct gaze. Xia Ying's small gesture already let Rong Si know the answer. Rong Si said with a serious face, listen to me and stay away from Yu Lingfeng, this person is not simple. Xia Ying bit her lip and asked, is there something wrong with your investigation? Impossible. Rong Si's face was full of determination, leaving no room for doubt. Xia Ying took a deep breath and lowered her head, okay, I won't ask any more. According to my calculations, you must know Yu Lingfeng, and the two of you have a close relationship. Otherwise, my eldest nephew would not be so eager to tell you this matter that has not yet been completely concluded. Rong Kai said as if talking to himself. Xia Ying lowered her head and said nothing. Rong Si raised his eyes and said extremely seriously, if you find anything wrong, remember to tell me. You will never be able to handle it alone, and it may very well bring you danger. Xia Ying said nothing, but recalled what Rong Si said was something wrong. After meeting Yu Lingfeng, a lot of something wrong happened. For example, Yu Lingfeng would always appear next to her unexpectedly. However, no matter how incredible things happened, Xia Ying firmly believed that Yu Lingfeng would not hurt herself. He must have been wrongly accused. There must be some misunderstanding. Rong Kai, thank you, I'll leave first. Xia Ying stood up and left. Rong Si looked at Xia Ying's leaving figure, showed a meaningful smile, and whispered, looks like the little cutie is a little hard to chase. Thanks to the little cutie cat eyes seeing the world fish for the reward. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 129. Chapter 129, She Can Kill Someone with a Borrowed Knife. After the exam, Xia Ying went to find Mu Niankai. Mu Niankai was particularly puzzled when she saw Xia Ying blocking her path. Xia, what are you doing? With a smile on her lips, Xia Ying approached Mu Niankai and said, the accounts between you and Xia Menjian have been settled, but the accounts between you and me have not yet been settled. What do you want? Mu Niankai raised her head and showed no signs of weakness. She had taken revenge on Xia Ying for Jun Chennai some time ago. Now that the misunderstanding was resolved, Xia Ying would not let her go so easily and act as if nothing had happened. You don't know how many little sisters I have, right? Mu Niankai sneered, you only have a small amount of money, and you want to settle a score with me? Are you too young? I'm not like you who know how to fight this and that all day long. Xia Ying curled her lips with a look of disdain, you have wronged me so many times, and I gave you such crucial information that day. You're Tang Tang Mu family, miss, you can't be so ungrateful, right? Mu Niankai frowned and relaxed her vigilance. She thought Xia Ying was here to cause trouble for her, so it sounded like what she said made sense. Speak clearly, what do you want to do? Mu Niankai's tone softened a little. You hate Xia Menjian, and I hate her too. Xia Ying continued, I think that since you have so many followers, there should be a way to prevent her from being able to survive in Guangyang. Mu Niankai stared at Xia Ying with half-narrowed eyes, oh, our goddess Xia Ying actually has such a vicious side. Xia Ying sneered, it depends on who it is. With Xia Menjian, if you don't be cruel to her, she will push you close to the cliff and eventually fall to pieces. Xia Ying doesn't have many friends in Guanyang, unlike Mu Niankai who has a bunch of little girls and followers. It is easier for Mu Niankai to do this kind of thing than Xia Ying, and she is much more experienced. Moreover, Xia Menjian was not very wary of Mu Niankai. If she took action, Xia Menjian would be tricked without her noticing. "Isn't she your sister?" Mu Niankai said slowly. "You are so cruel to my sister? It seems that you are not a good person." "I have never said that Xia Menjian is my sister. Do you believe what Xia Menjian says?" Mu Niankai raised her eyes and looked at Xia Ying, confused. "What do you mean? She's not your sister. She is just the daughter of my father's mistress, a woman who wants to replace me," Xia Ying sneered. Your mother is so cruel. Are you bringing the mistress's daughter home?" Mu Niankai's eyes widened in shock. "It's hard to explain this to you clearly anyway, just tell me if you can do it." "Wait a minute." Mu Niankai frowned and thought for a moment. "Xia Menjian is an illegitimate daughter. She told us that she was her biological daughter who was living abroad, and then she used me to cause trouble for you. Damn it, this is so mean." "Ah. Since Xia Menjian is an illegitimate daughter, why didn't you expose her earlier?" Sun Han on the side interrupted. Xia Ying sneered. "Exposed? So that she can go home and cry that Xia Ying is making things difficult for her at school? Shape Xia Ying into a vicious young lady who bullies a poor girl whose mother is dead but is still related to her by blood? She's not that stupid yet. Because things are not as simple as you think." Xia Ying continued, "By the way, you should not announce the matter of her illegitimate daughter to the public. Otherwise, she will do something else." Mu Niankai thought for a long time with her small brain cells, and said, "The mistress's daughter? She still wants to cheat the real rich lady, and she also plays dirty tricks behind her back. Damn it, she met her for the first time in 16 years of her life to such a white lotus." Summary full marks. Xia Ying said, "So are you willing to help?" Thanks to the little cutie Mo, Qiu Liang for the reward. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 130. Chapter 130 Cooperation Plan with Mu Niankai. Mu Niankai tilted her head and thought for a while. "Wait a minute, this price is a bit high. You just said a few words to me, but I have to help you drive away the White Lotus. I'm a bit at a loss." Xia Ying thought for a while. "How about this? I'll help you get Thornbird's autograph. I know you like her, so you won't lose anything like this, right?" Mu Niankai's eyes widened, a little incredulous. "The signature of Thornbird? How is that possible? Do you know her?" Xia Ying nodded. "Besides, she will also sing the opening song of the school anniversary. When you go to find her backstage, just say I asked you to come, and she will sign the autograph for you." The Thornbird came to sing at the school celebration party. Mu Niankai and her little sisters were shocked. "Yes, inside information, the school has not announced it to the public, just treat it as a surprise at the party." Xia Ying continued. Do you really know the Thornbird?" Mu Niankai was excited. Mu Niankai is considered to be from a musical family. Except for her father, who was in business and became a principal, the rest of the family are music artists. Mu Niankai also likes music very much, so she admires the emerging music genius Thornbird very much. "Yes, there's no point in lying to you." Xia Ying said. "Okay, that's it. We'll be in touch at any time. If you need any help, you can contact me." Xia Ying turned around and left after speaking. Sun Han tilted his head and asked Mu Niankai, who was still stunned, "Sister Niankai, do you really want to cooperate with Xia Ying? These two people have been at odds with each other since Xia Ying transferred to Guanyang, and they have never given each other a good look. Now because of a White Lotus, They actually shook hands and made peace, and started to cooperate. Mu Niankai chuckled, "What do you know? Xia Ying has no conflict of interest with me now. Moreover, I can also get to know my idol Thornbird through her, why not? What's more, I already hate Xia Ying. Menjian, disgusting mistress." Mu Niankai showed a look of disdain when she finished speaking. Mu Niankai hates mistresses and the like. Their Mu family is one of the 4 major families in the imperial capital. Her grandfather founded a business empire and her father has made great achievements in the education industry. Because her father is the chief heir of the Mu family, all kinds of women try to climb into her father's bed every day and become her father's mistress. Mu Niankai hates that kind of woman the most. So once I found out that Xia Menjian was not only the mistress's daughter, but also had such a corrupt character, I immediately became even more disgusted with her. Even if Xia Ying doesn't cooperate with her, she can't bear that kind of woman to be her deskmate and in the same class as her. In the evening, Yu Lingfeng was tutoring Xia Ying in her studies as usual. "How was the exam?" Yu Lingfeng raised his eyes and asked. "I think it's pretty simple, I should do well in the exam." Xia Ying replied with a smile. "The knowledge you have learned so far is indeed very simple, and it will not be difficult to master once you are proficient. The main reason is that the initial acceptance stage may be a bit difficult." Xia Ying listened to Yu Lingfeng's explanation, raised her head, and said silently, "That's because you are smart, but not many people have a mind like yours. A person who can make a super simulating robot like Zihu has so much knowledge in his head." Yu Lingfeng looked young, but he had too many things in his mind. Thanks to the little cutie. Kinlan Shang rewards. End of this chapter.